Welcome back to the Doorkickers Player Channel. This is Mission 86, Hostage Situation Electronics Store. This is a hostage rescue mission, but you do have the option of eliminating all terrorists. Now, before we start, just a heads up, I post videos every Monday and Thursday, so if you want to be notified when I upload those videos, hit the subscribe button and then the bell notification so that you will be informed whenever I upload new videos. Moving on. This is not that tough. This is relatively easy. You can see here, it only took me about 5 minutes, so relatively easy. Did I do this in one shot? No way. I must have forgotten to record. Okay, 2 shots. All right, let's go ahead and watch this replay and analyze it. See what we did, what we could improve, and then also I have my more recent attempt of this mission, so we'll analyze that as well. Let's go ahead and see what's going on here. Okay, so starting off, I do wonder, first of all, what weapons I'm using. I don't know if it shows the weapons or not. I don't think so. So I'm assuming I'm using either the Battle Panda or the Panzer or something like that. Okay. So we've got them bunched up right here just to start off. And got one team going this way and then this way, taking the long route essentially, and another team going straight for this room here. Interesting path. I genuinely don't know what to expect from this, so I just go ahead and watch. So right away, we wanted to get that flashbang here, right in the Charlie Delta corner. So that didn't work out the way we wanted it to, right? Also, what I think I would do differently in hindsight is I would have the guys like stack up like so, and that way we can, like, as we throw the flashbang, we can already start taking people out, pretty much in all directions. That's what I would do in hindsight, I think. But good reaction over here. I think they managed to take care of that just fine. Yeah, and you can see I'm first dealing with the guys I can view from this entrance. So that means, yeah, I would definitely want these guys to be more like that. That way I can kind of get, like a more angles and more guns on target. So far doing well. I think that this definitely saved them. I always talk about, your guys being parallel to each other. I think that having the operators parallel to each other was definitely something that made a difference. But the only thing is I would force these guys to watch this direction, right? God damn fucking sorry. My mouse just does not work properly. Yeah, I would have those guys looking that way and kind of like let these two just deal with it. Yeah, so this is where it's kind of like, well, what do you do here? So I've opted for grabbing the hostages, as you can see, which is a mistake. I've mentioned this a bunch of times before. Grabbing the hostages just puts them in a bad situation. So I don't recommend that. Also, you can see that right now, as they're going down this way, there are no threats here. Stupid mouse. Okay. I'm not using that mouse anymore. That's over. So you can see that these two guys are moving to the Charlie Delta corner. But the thing is that the Charlie Delta corner is clear. No bad guys here. So any threats that would be threatening these guys would come from the alpha side, right? So you don't want them walking parallel this way right now because this is not where the threat is coming from, right? You want them walking parallel to where the threat is coming from, right? So if the threat's coming from here, you need them like this, right? Walking down like so, right? So the one in the back or one of them is always in front of the other, right? Because this is the line, right? So they need to be parallel this way, right? Not the other way, not this way. So that's the only thing I would kind of like criticize in this moment right now. Another thing is that they didn't check this corner. I would check it just in case, but that's fine. And so this is exactly what I mean, right? So right now you've just put the hostages in jeopardy because you're not able to be effective, right? So this guy's not able to be effective right now in dealing with these tangos. So that's kind of like um it's a little bit of a I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but like minus points for that, I guess. Um this is going to be interesting to see what happens because notice this, right? So these two have a line of sight this way. This guy can see this guy, right? And this is another like one of those things where I'm like, keep your guys together because if this guy was here, I'm talking about this guy, right? If that guy was here, he would be able to deal with that while he deals with that, or vice versa, right? But now it's only this guy by himself, so we'll see what happens here. Okay, he does a good job of taking him out. Not too bad. Okay, good job. They're being okay. The operators are being very effective. Watch this approach to the door, right? So you see how I have him going this way? That's pretty smart. That's pretty good. Does a beautiful, yeah, manages to clear it nicely from the outside. That was actually super smart, throwing the flashbang in there first. Even though it was unnecessary, like you could have just had the guy move in, but yeah, that was okay. That was pretty smart. This guy should move as soon as, like, you should be moving together, not individually. So yeah, not too happy about that. But I guess that's it. That's the end of the mission. So okay, not I'm not too upset about that. That was actually pretty good. Let's go ahead and watch this one. This is my more recent attempt of it. It'll be interesting to see what I did different. I think I'm rocking with the Panda Strikers here. So you can see I'm going for these guys. One team going this way, throwing a flashbang in here. Another team coming up from here, throwing a flashbang in there, and then this way. They're basically opening both doors, trying to clear as much of the inside before they move in. I think that's pretty good. Right, so they're staying silent, and only when they have good. Well, they're behind cover, which is good, right, and concealment, but also they're able to put a lot more muzzles down range, right? So as you can see, we have a good line of sight on most of the room already, and then we can work our way inwards to clear the rest. That's pretty good. Okay. Yep, that's good. I like that. Throwing flashbangs popped off just in time. That's brilliant. Now, as these guys move in, so something that I've seen myself doing is that I sometimes, when I have double doors like this, right, I sometimes have these guys cross, which is a mistake. When you have double doors, you have two people here, right? That's how many you need to turn a corner, right? It's when you only have, like, for example, in this situation, one person on each side, that's when you cross, right? But if you have two people on each side, you can have them effectively go that way, right? So, sorry, my throat. So that's yeah. So in this situation, having these guys move this way is a lot more effective because they can clear a lot more within a small amount of time. So I think that's a pretty smart decision here. And the flashbangs go off very nicely. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 guns on target. Doing a great job. Wow. 2 for the price of 1. Look at that guy. That's pretty good. So you can see that 7 seconds in, all these bad guys are down. And remember how I was talking about parallel, right? So these guys are parallel to where the are walking parallel so that they can address any threats coming from the alpha side. That's a good approach to that doorway. So they're walking up like that, which gives them a lot of firepower because if at any point wherever they are, right? Like for example, if they're right in front of the doorway and they have these 3 guys here, you have 2 guns on range, right? If that's when they're on this line, okay? If they're on this line and you have 3 guys here in the same formation, right? Still 2 guns downrange, right? Now, the only thing is that you might miss this 3rd guy, right? Let's say you do miss the 3rd guy, okay? Not a problem, right? Because at this point, this guy can not really see that much, and you're only left with 1 guy, so it's kind of not that big of a deal. And then once you get to this point, you can clear most of the room from the outside. So this approach is actually a pretty good approach to a room. Yep. You see? So this is what I mean, right? So you can clear most of the room from the outside and then move in together, flow into the room. Sometimes I do find that like one operator will be a little bit further into the room before the other. So I kind of like sometimes stop the operator that's like too far in and let the other one catch up. And if you notice on the Delta side here, that's over here, Delta side. We've got this guy stopping and waiting for his partner, which is pretty smart. So that way they can approach this doorway together. See, as soon as this whole area was cleared, I have this guy moving to back up his buddy, while also keeping an eye on this entry area here, because any threats could come from the alpha side still. So any because threats can still come from the alpha side. So I get like word dyslexia. I say words in the wrong order. Um, so yeah, that's pretty smart. And then having them that close together means that any threats that come from either this room, either the Bravo side or the Alpha side, doesn't matter. You have down target that can guns down range that can deal with that. As you can see here, dealt with very nicely. And that concludes that. So let's go ahead and watch the replay. No stopping for this one. And then we'll go ahead and see the comparison. So let's look at the time difference here. So 18 seconds is the first attempt. 19 seconds is the second attempt. But there's a big difference here, right? So first of all, in this attempt, you know, the last bad guy was here on the Alpha Bravo corner. So not that big of a deal, right? The time doesn't make that much of a difference. Although it is interesting to note that they both took almost the same amount of time, which is super interesting. But what I will say about most recent attempt is that it focuses less on game dynamics, right? Focuses more on principles and like tactics, right? You can see the tactics, how they move together, right? So this entire time when they're walking in this area, no shooting for, let's see, 7, 13, for about 6 seconds, right? There's no shooting at all. It's just quiet, right? Whereas in this one, there's constant shooting, 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 right? So I think there's what? How many seconds of quiet? Let's see. So 5, 9, so 4 seconds of quiet, right? And if you watch the operators move, it focuses more on the game dynamics, right? Because that's the way I'm moving them around, is focusing on the game dynamics rather than like throwing a flashbang. Throwing a flashbang means that the guy won't shoot him when you see him, like all that stuff, right? So focusing on game dynamics is, and like for example, this operator not flowing in the room with him to check this corner or to cover, the alpha side. Those are all things that kind of rely on the game dynamics of how the the tangos respond to fire and stuff like that. And so you kind of can see that there's a lot of like operators blood and stuff because they get shot at a lot, right? And they get hit a lot. Not much fluidity, right? Whereas in this one, we're seeing a very fluid process. The operators have not been hit yet, right? And by the time these guys open the door, they're already there, right? They barely managed to get a shot off, right? And that's kind of focusing on tactics. Within a second, it takes 1 second for this guy, from the time he sees the operators to the time that he's dead, right? So that's we're seeing a lot of much more fluid movement, much more, um, I would say, intentional movement, right? You can see how they cross here. These two, you can see them crossing, right? I think that that's super impressive and super important. You see how I change the route when it's necessary. So yeah, that's focusing a lot more on tactics and on, you know, it's it just I can't find the word I'm looking for, but it like looks nicer. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot more fluid, a lot more precise, a lot more just getting to the point, being efficient. This is kind of just like very sloppy. Even though I have the gore all the way up, it's still very sloppy, right? Like it doesn't seem like a well functioning team, right? One guy moves up while the other guy's throwing a flashbang. It just doesn't make any sense really. It's okay, like it works, but it just doesn't make much sense, right? So anyways, that's just my opinion. Either way, it was successful. So this has been mission 86, hostage situation, electronic store. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like. If you want to see more of these kinds of videos, make sure that you subscribe. And if there's anything that you guys want to see in future videos, feel free to let me know about that in the comment section down below. I will see you in the next video.